Alright, here's something I really love about Dark Souls 3 PvP, are co-invaders. Obviously not this one, because as you'll see, this guy is a complete dipshit who for some reason thinks that I am the guy he needs to kill. Despite there being, if you're in a world with another co-invader, there's likely, 4 players who will want to kill you, and you're just gonna get, absolutely stomped by them. So I don't really know why he wants to fight me, but we'll make him pay for that. Co-invaders are really fun to have. I often call these things like dried finger brawls, just because it's like chaotic and messy, and it's all kinds of fun. And this guy also has no vigor, so he gets absolutely fucked like he deserves. I guess while making this super meta, in visibly prepared for invasions build, this guy forgot to put any stats into vigor and had like 700 HP. So enjoy that point down, idiot. Can someone explain to me like the mentality behind like attacking a co-invader of yours? I just don't get it. Like I get other covenants wanting to do that even though it's not advantageous. Like the Mound Makers, like the entire point is that they're a little bit crazy. Speaking of crazy, holy shit, this guy's Wi-Fi. Anyways, but like Mound Makers are a little bit crazy. Farron Watchdogs, are just fucking stupid. Both in practice and in the lore. They thoroughly believe that, Artorias actually defeated the Abyss. Sorry, let me just take a moment to kill this guy in 3 hits, like he so richly deserves. Anyways, like what I was saying, why are co-invaders so goddamn stupid? Often like that. Like, what is the rationale behind attacking someone who's on your side? Like, the only person who's actually on your side in this fight is another co-invader, and the level, which you have to use, but very often if it's a dried finger gank squad, most of the levels are already dead, and then it's just you and your co-invader. And yeah, there's friendly fire, which really just means that you have to be careful, but that doesn't mean like, oh, I should kill everyone here. You don't get a reward for killing someone else, and that guy looks like he had just invaded the world, and so he doesn't get, like, I guess the one reward that you would get from killing another invader is another Estus, like I was watching like a Mocha Latte video, one of those older ones where he sees his co-invader and they have this just setup that's gonna be fucking terrible, so he kills them in like 2 hits because that's gonna happen anyways, so he can get that Estus and hopefully get a better co-invader. So I just like I get that rationale there. But this guy is clearly not used to PvP, clearly just didn't really know what he was doing, but for some reason thought that, like, oh, reds kill everyone, even other reds. Like, it's just stupid. So, I'm going to kill and point down to that person every single time to do some shit like that. What I'm doing here is that, like, a little dance where no one really wants to hit each other, because I'm waiting for the next co-invader to show up, and I'm praying that it's not that same dumbass who keeps trying to attack me. But fortunately, we get someone else. But yeah, you just you end up playing really passive here because you don't want to get hit. You don't want to take unnecessary damage before that next co-invader shows up. And I know that White Phantom is probably hanging around somewhere who will, jump in and save the gold the moment he gets in any sort of trouble. So I'm a little bit wary of my co-invader here because he's using the Freed Scythe, which I know could easily lock me into the stun lock, and I really don't want that to happen. The Freed Scythe is a really great like ganker tool when you're fighting where friendly fire doesn't exist, but it is, I would say, a lot less effective as an invader. And, like, look at the ice spikes right there. If I had been a little further to my right, I would have just walked right into that, and then I would have likely been frostbitten by my co-invader. So, anyways, we're able to get that white. We're gonna punish these guys for being too aggressive, especially the Mad Spirit there. So that feels good. But what I didn't notice was that the Red Spirit is also dead. So now it's a 2v1, which I can handle, but I'm a little bit worried about this. Password Summon Phantom with a Ultra Greatsword who's demonstrated before that he is extremely laggy. Seems to be fine now, but I'm a little worried about it. The host is like doing something a little odd here, because like this isn't an honorable duel here. This is very much not a full-on gank, but like this is an invasion. But they're standing off to the side, so I don't know if they're waiting for other like phantoms signs to show up so they can summon them, or what they're doing. They kind of just seem to be screwing around. They keep running in like they're gonna fight me and then backing out, so I'm just thoroughly confused. So I saw that Phantom go for that stomp chop or stomp slam kind of thing, so I know he's gonna do it again. So I get my weapon art, hit him with the blade and the shockwave at the same time, and have enough time to still roll out. And then 2 R1s should finish the job. I know I just made a video about this Wayhander, going on and on about how great the stomp launch weapon art is, but if an opponent knows what they're doing, they can do damage to you and still get out before you launch them up in the air or slam your giant sword on top of them. And surprise, surprise, the host dies in 5 seconds. But look who shows up here at the end. This is the thing that pissed me off the most about this invasion, is that this guy, despite being an absolute impediment to what I was doing, still gets a reward for doing absolutely nothing here. So this next invasion's a little bit more typical of a lot of these Dreadfinger, like, invasion kind of brawls. This my co-invader here is actually pretty competent. He does a lot of good things. We're just in kind of a shitty situation here because the host and the Phantom just want to sit in that little room that basically makes it impossible to lock onto anyone, which is a good strategy on their part. I also want to take some time to at least appreciate the fact that like this isn't like a gang squad, it's just like a guy and his friend, his like appropriately leveled friend, playing the level and popping Dreadfinger. So I think that's pretty damn cool. And they're both decent players. The host is really the better of the two. And I fast forward through a bunch of parts because it's a lot of us trying to get them to come out. But they're smart. They know that they have the advantage in there. They're using straight swords, and pretty sure that the host is playing the glaive unlocked. But I don't think it's the glaive, it's actually the split leaf, but it's the same sort of weapon. This Phantom here is wearing all Kirk's armor, which doesn't give you a lot of protection or a lot of poise or anything like that, but it does do that like damage if you roll into someone. However, wearing every single piece of Kirk's armor, you still only do like 4 damage, and so he spends a lot of time rolling around, but I don't think he quite totally understands that he only does 4 damage. Also, great shield and straight sword. I mean, straight swords are great, but just great shield is, in my opinion, aren't very good in this game compared to something like Dark Souls 2, which even in Dark Souls 2, where shields are pretty nerfed. If you have a good great shield and you are like smart with it, you're not just turtling behind it at all times. Great shields are pretty good in that game, I thought. So a lot of this intro to the fight kind of is us playing around, just trying to bait them out into more open areas. They haven't killed the Sage yet, so he's still like raining spells on them. So it's still pretty dangerous for them to advance. And I think if they had maybe one more Phantom, they might be a little bit more, not ambitious, but like they might be a little braver. But they're doing the right thing here, which is not just coming out and fighting both invaders in the same space. We both try to do a good job of keeping out of each other's ways. There isn't a whole lot of friendly fire, despite both of us using like big poise weapons. Actually, mine's not such a big poise weapon. It's a weapon that is hyper armor. But he's using for a lot of this fight the Black Knight Ultra Greatsword, or I guess it's just called, yeah, it's Black Knight Ultra Greatsword. For the most part, we're trying to stay separated, and they're just trying to kill the PV, so we don't have much of a chance. One of them also has the Millwood Great Bow, which is a good tactic on their part. That's like an invader tool right there, which makes me think that this host probably does some invading. The one thing that me and my co-invader do struggle with is locking onto each other, because it seems like we're constantly just like getting locked onto each other. I can tell by his movement that he's getting locked onto me, and I'm constantly just getting locked onto him. So we're trying to really bait them out, but we realize that we kind of have to fight them here. But once we get in here, my co-invader switched to a one-handed straight sword, which is really not a bad idea if you're fighting in an enclosed space with a co-invader, because it's just like less likely than a one-handed straight sword to hit your opponent, hit your co-invader, not your opponent. So I thought that was a good choice on his part. This guy's still going to want to roll around a lot, but the Great Shield, again, not too great in this game, can really be popped open by a lot of hyper armor weapons, and unless you invest heavily into stamina, you're just not going to have a lot to tank a lot of hits. So here's where the invasion starts to get a little tricky, because we lose track of the host here, or at least I do. I think my co-invader knows where he is, but I kind of lose track of the host, and I switch to a straight sword because I'm expecting him to do that thing that most hosts who have a dried finger popped have trained me to do, which is you know, expect that the host is just gonna roll around and wait for their phantom to put his sign down back on the bonfire. So that's what I was expecting. But here, me and my co-invader start to get in each other's way. We start hitting each other. We start going for like overly aggressive roll catches. The host isn't really doing himself any favors here, though. He keeps going for turn and burns with a glaive, which is not a great turn and burn weapon. Just the attacks come out slow. That once that weapon has come up to attack, I already know. Like all I have to do is roll, and I can roll super late. Like if you're trying to do a turn burn with a straight sword, even like a great sword or ultra great sword, that attack, well, it doesn't necessarily come out quicker. The tell is less of a tell than the glaive class of weapons, which like the blade comes up and then it comes down. And every single time the host does that, I see the blade come up, I know I can roll, and I can roll super late. Whereas those other weapons, I usually don't see the attack coming until they've already turned around and hit me with it. What I find weird about a lot of this fight is the host doesn't seem to do a whole lot of damage with the glaive until he does. Until like all of a sudden he'll turn around and hit me for like half my health bar, whereas I got caught in that little spinny attack, and that did not as much damage as I was expecting from weapon arm. Like that right there did a ton of damage. However, I think my co-invader makes a mistake here. Switching to the Cestus was really a strange choice, especially when he had like already such a great chase down tool in the glaive. That switching to the Cestus, which he rarely hits this guy and mostly just kind of gets in my way, because I need the space. Like I can't have my co-invader, like he gets a nice backstab here, but I can't have my co-invader getting up in this guy's face. Otherwise, I'll just hit them with the straight sword. Like right here, he comes running in to punish Estus with the Cestus. Whereas if he had just hit him with the glaive, he would have been likely out of range of my attack. But the fact that he always needs to get up in the guy's face, right where I'm trying to do damage, is like really not helping this fight out. He switches back to the glaive, but I think he's lost too much health at this point that it's not going to matter. So thankfully, my co-invader switches back to the glaive. It's actually the Black Knight glaive, I believe. But it's a little too late. Also, I think I realized what's doing so much damage in this fight is the counter damage. I think the counter damage on glaives is pretty insane. And every time I try to make a trade with the straight sword, I absolutely lose that trade. But yeah, my co-invader switched back, but I think he's already lost too much health. I think he was probably out of Estus at that point, that by the time he finally switched back to a weapon that actually works in this invasion, it was too late. I make a couple very key mistakes here. I realize I need to switch back to my greatsword, but I do so too late and take 2 free R1s, which is incredibly stupid of me. And then I don't space out my heal correctly right here. So I'm really blowing it. Now I'm kind of freaking out because I'm like, oh, are you kidding me? I've really blown this fight. It was a 2-on-1 a second ago, and now I'm out of Estus and about to lose this fight. And that's kind of like shown by my one-handing my R1s here, which I definitely did not mean to do. He's still going for these one-handed, not really turn and burns with the glaive, but just like trying to get me from a distance, which I get. He decides for some strange reason to go deeper into the level, which is really not really ill-advised strategy here, especially since here's where all the thralls come into play. He learns that pretty quickly and retreats. I'll make another pretty bad mistake here. I just totally missed the landing and take unnecessary damage when I have a limited amount of health left. So, but now I'm pretty desperate. I am down to like a third of my health. I am out of Estus, and I need to make a stand here. I'm assuming he's also pretty low on Estus, but I realize I can't really get hit. However, I notice he's being super aggressive, so I'm trying to do everything I can. I try to go for the backstab there. But ultimately I realize he's going to be just ultra aggressive. Look how many R1s he throws out. So I take the counter damage here. I know he's going to be desperate to finish me off. So the moment he gets back out of stun lock, I'm going to hit him again because I know that he's just going to want to hit me immediately again. That's a 1450 hit combo right there. Now that's a lot of damage, to quote an outdated meme. But hey, you know, win's a win. Even if I die, I still get that pale tongue. I'm still on that quest for 700. Thanks for watching, guys.